Okay, welcome back. I think we're on video 9. I could be getting that wrong. It's almost time to stop numbering the videos because I think it's going to take probably 200 videos. In this video, we're going to be mostly working on axles. The axles were very, very challenging. We're also going to be finishing out the belly pan, and then I'm putting level gauges on the water tanks, which we installed in the last video. So real quick, I want to give a shout out to Colin Hyde, who provided the axles. He didn't provide them. He gave me a nice discount, which I appreciate. Thank you, Colin. I'll link them in the description. Also, this video was planned on being sponsored by Garnett, who makes sea-level gauges. Those are the gauges we're going to put on the tanks here soon. We had a really cool video planned out. They were going to come down and we're going to do the install together, kind of a collaborative effort. Because of COVID-19, they couldn't do it, obviously, and they kind of had to bail on the sponsorship, which I totally understand. No hard feelings to them. Very nice company, awesome people. They're predicting some pretty heavy losses over the next couple months, so I feel for them. I want to say, despite the fact that they can't pay for the sponsorship, let's just still say they're sponsoring it, and I'm going to put a link in the description for their products, and we're going to show you how to hook them up in this video. And in the following video, who knows when I get the interior built out, that may be maybe 3 years from now, we'll put the actual sensor on and you'll see how the whole system works. So maybe then when they follow up, we can work out a partnership with them. But I want to say thanks to them for providing the level gauges. Let's jump in and get started. Okay, so we got a quick change of plans. I had been working with Garnett, who makes sea-level. They make gauges basically to tell you the amount of fluid you have in your tanks, kind of monitors your tanks. They were gonna actually come down and do an install with me on that, and they had to bail because obviously because of COVID-19, and they're on lockdown just like we are. So I was actually kind of worried that I wasn't even gonna get the sensors and I was just gonna have to do it later on, but they showed up in the mail like as we were putting these axles on. So I think the smart thing to do at this point is to pull the axles off, and while we have access to these tanks, go ahead and put those sensors on the tanks and get all that wired up and ready, and then throw the axles on. Okay, so things are going a little bit slower than I anticipated on this, and that's to be expected because I really don't know what it is that I'm doing. I'm just figuring it out as I go. We do have the gray sensor on. It's good to go. We just drilled a hole and it goes right through the floor to there. That'll be where the bunk bed is, so we'll just run wire from there. The black tank has this chamfer on the top, so the sensor hangs off a little bit. I sent that photo to my contact over at Garnett, and he told me that was no good. Can't do it that way. So he's gonna actually send me. It's a great thing about these kits is they have different link sensors. He's got a shorter one. He's gonna send it to me. Ideally, you need to be down about a ½ inch from top and bottom centered on the tank. So we'll swap that out. Hopefully that'll get here tomorrow. He said he's going to overnight it. Really awesome of him to do that. And then what we'll do is we got a hot wire. The blue is power, and then your black is your ground. So we'll go ahead and ground that black off, and then extend this, put a little junction there, and go through the frame under this belly pan into this cavity and through this hole with this sensor. So we'll have both wires going into the camper at the same spot. Once we get all that done, we can go ahead and put the belly pan back on over the gray tanks, drop the axles on like we were doing earlier, go ahead and get those fully bolted on, put on the shocks, and start working on finishing up the outside skirts, the Rawls on the belly pan. This is also a great opportunity to kind of show you guys the sensor side, or not the sensor, but the gauge side of this system. And they're gonna actually send me a different one, but this one won't have a galley, because I'm not gonna have a galley. So I'll have a fresh gray and a black button. You hit that button, it tells you the percentage of how full it is, and then then the new one they're going to send me actually has a 3-way switch on it that can turn on my water pump. So that'll be a cool feature. So I'll find out. I don't know exactly where I'm going to mount this. I'll put it in somewhere in the trailer where I'm putting all the control stuff, and we'll make a nice clean bracket for this to sit on. And yeah, it should look good. Big thanks to Garnett for sending all this and for helping me get this set up. Okay, so we are working on axles, trying to get these installed. I have run into some serious issues that I feel like I've mostly created in my brain, which I usually do. Problem we ran into is once we got these all mounted, you take the measurements that we were doing, everything, that they weren't lining up to the coupler. It was off by about 1/4 to 3/8, which is a significant amount for these to be out of alignment. Got me thinking, but the frame must be messed up, because how else would that be off? It wouldn't come to the factory off. So I started to measure. I mean, I spent all morning pretty much measuring multiple different ways. I've got strings lined up, center lines. Really, basically where I got was that this thing was doing kind of this banana thing. And I really wasn't too sure of that, but after all that measuring, that's kind of where I got with it. And so I posted a video on Instagram. I do have Instagram, for those of you who don't know, and you can follow a lot of this on that as well. It's in the description. And I got a comment from Holden Bros Diesel, who is a diesel shop here in Bernie. And he's like, hey man, I'll come check it out. We're not far down the road. And super nice guys. Steven and his buddy Brian came by, and they looked it over for a while, and they found a lot of flaws in the way I was measuring, obviously, because these guys do this. They know what they're doing, which is awesome, because I don't know what I'm doing. So basically the problem I had was my string was hanging over these axle tubes. So it wasn't even accurate, because it was touching the axle tubes. Didn't even catch that. So we got the string raised up on the board, up higher, and frame to them seemed to be within tolerance. He thought it was just fine, which was super relieving, because I was seriously about to hook this thing up to trees and get it come along and try to pull it into shape, and he told me, do not do that, that's a bad idea. So I feel much better knowing that professional has looked at this and deemed it in good shape and not bent. So immense amount of relief right now. So his thought and his plan, and what I originally thought to do, but I was worried that the frame was bent, was just grind out these slots a little bit so that I can just get a little bit more movement out of these axles. He said, you do that and get it lined up, and this thing should pull just fine. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to work on getting those axles to where we can adjust them a little bit and get them bolted on and just keep moving with this. A big thanks to both Steven and Brian for coming by. I'll link their Instagram in the description. They do some really cool work on diesel trucks, so interesting stuff. Good guys to know, and glad I got a chance to meet them. So let's just keep moving forward on this, get these ground out and get these axles bolted down and just move on. Okay, so we can't really do a lot of work outside because, once again, it is raining. We've been getting a ton of rain here in Texas, which is good, but it makes it hard to work. What I need to do is I've got the 4 belly wraps, is what I'm calling them, that basically transition from the bottom of the trailer around to the side. I need to make those. I have the old ones, they're all laying out here, so I'm going to drag some of those into the shop. I'm going to get the aluminum out of the trailer and then film in the shop, just basically using the old ones as a template and cutting those out. And then I can just go outside and kind of fit them to the trailer. I don't necessarily have to rivet them on today, but at least I can cut them and have them all ready to go. Once the rain dries up, we can just go ahead and knock those out and get them put on the trailer. Okay, so these are the two rear panels. So this is where your dump valve comes out. That's where you hook it up to your sewer hose. We got to work on that. I was thinking I would reuse this old plastic one, but I'm not so sure yet. I might have to have one made. But we can go ahead and build the aluminum around it, and then this just goes over the aluminum. So we welded on those new brackets on the outside of the trailer. So we'll put those brackets, we'll actually cut our aluminum to those bracket sizing, because they might be, I think I welded them on to fit this, I'm pretty sure, but we're going to double check that. So we'll have basically this and this we can take out of this sheet. We'll have a little bit of waste going off the end. That's just what it is. Yeah, that's going to take up basically this sheet for these two with a little bit of waste here. So I'm going to lay those on, trace them out, and start cutting these out. Okay, so these are all kind of roughed out at this point, pretty much ready to go. This one you can tell is a little bit longer because it has a slight kind of curve radius. And I don't want to mess with that until I can lay it on the trailer. Right now it's raining, we can't really work outside. So I'm going to leave them like this. These are the two back ones, and now we'll cut out the two front sections and just let them sit until we get some sunshine and we can go out there and do the final fit. So this is the front roadside, front curbside, because this is where your step is for your door. Right here, this is your vent for your fridge, which ran on propane, but the new one may not run on propane. I haven't decided. The downside, or the bummer, is this is about, I don't know, 5 inches too long, a little bit longer than 10 feet, so we can't get it out of this, the whole length as it is, out of this sheet. What I'll do is I'll just cut it right here, seam it together right here inside the step. You'll never see it. So I'm going to take some snips, cut this, and then trace out this section, and cut it out. Heads up. It's still a little bit rainy outside, but I'm going to go ahead and take this one out to the trailer just to set it on there and make sure that this is working, because something tells me maybe something's not right. So I just want to confirm that everything is good. Oh. Okay, so I feel good about this. I think it looks right. The banana wrap will close in that corner. So that is still up in the carport, and is in, actually one of them we don't have because it was totally destroyed. 3 of them are in pretty bad shape, so I don't really know how I'm gonna fix those yet, but I feel good about these side wraps. You know, like I said, I'm just copying the old ones and it looks like it's gonna work out just fine. This one will fold down. Obviously, it's just, I don't know how easy it's going to be to curve these, but I'll rivet it in up there and just kind of work it down till we get it to here, rivet there, and you leave the side hanging off, and that way when you put the shell on, this will wrap over the top of the shell. So I think we can continue. I've got one more to make for that corner, and then these side wraps are finished. Not so sure what to make of this. It's kind of like an airplane crashed. I have no idea. That's obviously the front. I think, here's my plan. I think I'll use the other side. I mean, why would they be any different as that front section? I just need to figure out where this line of rivets, where it hit on the trailer, which outrigger, measure that over to the end of my aluminum, and that is the measurement I need. That should work. Okay, to the center of that outrigger, we need to be 55 and about an eighth. 55 and a 16th if we're splitting hairs. Our measurement was 55 and 1/16, but there's no reason why we shouldn't just carry this past a few more inches. Yeah, let's go 57. We'll go 2 inches past the 55 marker and overlap these two panels. That should work great. This is my last sheet of 4x10 aluminum. Stuff's not cheap either, it's like 48 bucks a sheet. I think I got this figured out. So this is the additional piece. It'll sit right like that. We got just barely enough room. You can see my layout line there, and that's where I got to cut for that. Once I flatten this out, it's going to be about an inch there, just barely enough. This is our seam point right on that outrigger, so I'll carry it past just like I did the other one. And basically, if I'm thinking correctly, this piece will spin all the way around and connect to this piece and make the whole wrap. Should be lined up right. The brown section, which is the part that goes towards the sidewalls on the camper, goes down on the curve. That's the way my brain's working. So if I rotate that around, there's my curve. I think we got it figured out. So it looks like it works well, man. It hits right on that. It hangs over a little bit, so the other piece will slide underneath and hit that, and we'll rivet to this outrigger and rivet the pieces together. Now, I know a lot of you, especially you, the guys who watch this that are either pros at this or know a lot about Airstreams, are going to be griping because I'm going to have a seam in my belly pan. You're going to see it from the side of the trailer, this vertical seam coming up. I don't know what else to do. I don't have long enough material the way this worked out. On the other side, we were able to put that seam in the doorway, so you'll never see that seam. But this one, just gonna have to live with it. It's my trailer. I'm okay with it. I'm not gonna gripe about it. And maybe, since we're painting it, maybe there's a way to kind of hide it a little bit, but I doubt that would look good either. So I may just say, it's a seam, just gotta live with it. We got a little break in the rain. Supposed to get some bad weather coming. So let's get these side wraps on before that weather shows up. It'll help protect that plywood a little bit. Should be pretty easy. Let me get the compressor going and we'll get started. Okay, it's occurring to me at this point that I cannot rivet these on yet. I've been putting off this step, and I have to do it now. I have to get that cleaned up and reinstalled because I will never be able to get in there. I'll never be able to get there to do it, so it's a bummer. We're gonna have to shut it down here. So what I'm gonna do, I kind of started working on this step several weeks ago, and I was like, I don't mess with this. So now I have to. We got to get that done. So I'm gonna work on just laying them all out like this. Shouldn't take long, and then tarp it off really well, and that's where we're gonna shut this off. Okay, front section is all laid out. I think the best thing to do, there is a, and you can see my layout line from the original, there's a slight curve here for the wheel well. I had no idea really how that's gonna all come together. So I think the best thing to do is just leave that hanging long, and then I can come back with some shears or just some snips and snip that off the way I want it. Should work pretty good, I think. I think that's probably the wise thing to do. Okay, we got the front. Let's move on and get the back real quick, and then we're gonna tarp it off. Okay, so the dump valve, this is how this will work. Doesn't look super, a little bit out of whack, and I think it's actually the steel, because that was my welding. We're gonna fabricate, so this was the original box that went in there, kind of like that. I think I'm gonna have something new fabricated, because at this point this doesn't even really fit, and we'll make it with lips that kind of cover all this and make it look nice and finished out, and hopefully it'll slide into that valve pull. Just can't help but pull those every time I see them. I don't know why. So that'll be down the road, but this thing fits. We're good. I might have to, you can see we got a gap here. I might have to trim this side, maybe take a 1/2 inch off to close it there. But looking good. And then you can see the transition here. There's the edge of the trailer will be right there on that plywood, and then there'll be a banana wrap that closes all that down. Okay, so that's gonna do it for this video. I think we've made some great progress. I've got the belly wraps all ready to go, rivet on. Those are all fabbed up. I got to get that step figured out. I think we got some pretty bad weather rolling in, so I got to get it all tarped off. I want to thank Colin Hyde for sending the axles. He gave me a nice little discount on those. I appreciate that, Colin. If you need axles for your Airstream, if you're doing a restoration, Colin is the guy to talk to. Just send him your info and he will do all the work, figure out exactly what axles you need. My axles, I want to say this, my axles there's 2 options on your angle, on your torsion angle. I think there's a 21.5 maybe, and then a 31 or 32. I got the higher angle, I got the 32. So that's gonna raise the trailer up maybe 3 to 4 inches, which is a good thing in my opinion. My truck sits higher, so it should ride level with the truck, and then it should keep it from hitting the ground. So that's one option. So if you're getting axles, you can get a frame of reference on my trailer knowing that I had the taller ones. Also, a big thank you to Holden Bros, to Steven and Brian for coming by, for setting me straight on the axles on the frame. Much appreciated. I'll put a link to their Instagram account in the description. I wish I would have filmed that section, but I don't know, I get distracted and then get the camera out. So link to their description. They do some really cool work. They own a diesel shop here in town. And I appreciate their help. That's it. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I appreciate all the comments you guys send me. I'm going to keep rolling on this thing, and hopefully, I'm really hoping, I keep thinking I'm going to get the shell on soon. I'm hoping the next couple weeks I got to run the propane lines, and that's really it. We got a little bit of touch-up paint to do, and then flip it over and get the wheels on it and drop that shell back on. So that's exciting. I cannot wait for that video. That'll be here soon, hopefully, next couple weeks. Crossing my fingers. So again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see y'all next time.